Hey guys, so today we are going to start chapter 2 in our math lesson, and our objective for today is I can use basic addition and subtraction facts to solve problems with larger numbers. So you have 3 things that you'll need to complete for today. The first 2 are going to be done on Kami. It is your math journal, page 32 and 33, and then after that you are going to do a round of extra math to help with your facts. So today we're going to be looking at extending to multiples of tens. So fact extensions are extending the fact by adding a 0 at the end or adding another place value. So an extension of 4 would be 40. We're adding the 0 on there, or we're multiplying it by 10 to get to the 40. So all of our extensions will end in a 0. And multiples are counting by a certain number. So multiples of 10 are 10, 20, 30, 40, 50, 60. Multiples of 100, because we might need to extend to the hundreds, are 100, 200, 300, 400, and so on. So they end in the zeros. So So when we are looking at multiples of 10, we are looking to find the base fact. So in this problem, 6 plus 2 is 8. 6 plus 2 is a base fact. It should be one that should be fairly simple to find, and you should have this one memorized. That's why we're going to be doing some fact practice. 6 plus 2 is 8. Now, if you look at this problem, the next problem, and you can see that there's 60 plus 20, all it did was take 6 and made it a multiple of 10, so it made it into 60. So really what we're doing is adding 6 tens, and then we're adding 2 tens. And so we can add our 6 tens, and we could do 6 plus 2 is 8, and then we're still talking about 8 tens, so it is 80. So we're increasing it by multiples of 10. So one way that you can think of it is if I got rid of this 0 and here, then I would be left with my base fact of 6 plus 2, and then I would need to put the 0 back on. Same thing for 600 plus 200. Again, I have 2 zeros here, and I can do my base fact of 6 plus 2 is 8. And then add my 2 zeros back on to get 800. So knowing those base facts of the 6 plus 2 is going to help you to solve your multiples of 10 or 100. So on this one, again, the problem is 7 plus 5 equals 12. That's going to be a base fact. Now I have 70 and 50, and both of those are multiples of 10. 7 tens and 5 tens. So if I were to get rid of the 0, I would be left with 7 plus 5, which we know is 12, and then we would have to add that 0 back on to make 120. So 70 plus 50 is 120. Knowing 7 plus 5 equals 12 will help you to solve 70 plus 50. Same thing for 700 plus 500. Again, this one is a multiple of 100. So I have 700 and I have those 2 zeros. I have 500 with the 2 zeros because they're multiples of 100. And I'm left with my base fact, 7 plus 5 is 12. Only this time I have 2 zeros, and when I do that, it makes my number 1,200. So 700 plus 500 is 200. Now, something that's a little bit different is extending to higher decades. So a decade is 10, and when it's talking about that, it's taking your base fact, so 6 plus 8 is 14 here, and it is extending to the higher decade in one of the numbers. So instead of having just 6 plus 8 as the base fact, I am now doing 26, and we can break that down as 20 plus 6 And then I'm still going to add the 8. So I still have my base fact here, which is 6 plus 8, and that's 14. But I still need to increase it 20. So if you're thinking about our number grid, we would jump down 2 tens to get to 34. Same thing with 46 plus 8. I can see that 46 would be 40 and 6. And then I'm going to add in 8. Well, I know 6 plus 8 is 14. And then I have 40 more. So I'm going to have 40 plus 14, or start at 14 and count down 4 more tens on your number grid to get to 54. So my base fact, 6 plus 8, is going to help me to solve some of these higher decades, so increasing it by tens. If you look at these, some of the things that are the same, well, all of the second number, 8, is the same. And then in your first number, the add-in, the 6, they all have 6 in them. The only difference that's changing is the tens place. Same thing goes with my answer. All of the ones are the same. The only thing that's different are the tens place, because we're increasing it by higher decades. Looking at this one, now I throw in these because sometimes you will see a problem where the question mark is first and then there's the equal sign. So what we need to remember with this is that everything on each side of the question mark or the equal sign needs to be the same. So whatever this is here, it needs to be equal over here as the answer. So 13 minus 5 is 8. So we know that this becomes an 8. And we're going to use that to help us to figure out our answer. So if I want to break down 43, it's a little bit trickier, but I would say 30 plus 13. That's how I get 43, because I have 3 tens and then 1 more 10 here. And then I can do minus 5 here to get my 8. And then I have 30. So 30 plus 8 is 38. 43 minus 5 is 38. Now, another thing that I could notice is that my answer, 13 minus 5 is 8. Is that my ones place or my tens place decreases by 1 in the answer. So my answer of 43 minus 5, my tens place is going to need to decrease by 1 as well. So 4, and then I decrease my tens place 1. That is going to give me 3. I can do the same thing for 73. If I were to decompose this number, break it apart, I would have 60 plus 13. And that's 73. I'm going to take away my 5 because I know my base fact, 13 minus 5 is 8. And then I'm going to have 60 plus 8, and I'm going to recompose them to make 68. So 73 minus 5 is 68. Let's try another one of these. So I have 11 minus 6, that is 5. And I'm going to do 21 minus 6. Well, I'm going to break 21 down into 11 and 10. And I'm going to subtract my 6 to get 5. And then I have a 10. So 5 plus 10 is 15. 21 minus 6 is 15. Same thing for 51. I can break that apart into 11 and 41, and I'm going to subtract my 6. 11 minus 6 is 5, and then that should be 40. I'm going to have 40 and 5, and that is 45. So 51 minus 6 is 45. These are a little bit trickier because when you do start looking at these, sometimes the decades can become tricky in remembering how to split them and make sure that you get the right answer. This one takes a little bit more practice. It's not just as easy as doing a multiple where you just add 10. Okay, so in your book, Math Journal, page 32, I'm going to do the first one with you guys, and then you guys are going to have to finish number 2, 3, 4, and 5. There's more at the bottom that you can also work on later as well. So I have my problem, 12 minus 5. Well, 12 minus 7 is 5. And I can see my base fact because if I were to cross off those zeros, I would have 12 minus 7. So again, I know that's 5. I'm just going to add the 0 back onto it, increase it by 10. So that is 50. 1,200, I see 2 zeros. 700, I see 2 zeros. So I'm left with my base fact of 12 minus 7, which is 5. Only this time I'm increasing it by 100, so it is 500. It's important to remember that you can't just cross off if you have a number that is 80 and then you're adding 300. You can't just cross these off because there's 2 zeros and this one has 1. You have to cross off the same number of zeros on all 3 of those parts. So your 2 numbers that you would add, you'd have to cross off 2 zeros, and then your answer, you would have to add those 2 zeros. So we can't mix tens and hundreds. You're going to solve number 2, 3, 4, and 5, and this is what you're turning in to me and one of your camis. You are also going to do Math Journal, page 33. This is all about finding elapsed time. Make sure that you are drawing your number line with your start time and your end time to help you solve it. Make sure that you are working down here and explaining your work to the best that you can. We will be going over this in our group and talking about how we explain things in math. And finally, you will be working on practicing those math facts so that you're able to do these problems hopefully a little bit easier. So you're going to be going to Extra Math and you're going to log in using Clever. If you have questions, email me.